Dr. Perry Oakes. 10 years ago, we sat in PhD seminars together and in seminary. So students, realize that people you're sitting next to in seminary, you have no idea the Lord, how He may lead them in their ministry, ways that He may use him or her, or how He may use you. So, did you know, Perry, 10 years ago that you would be with Wycliffe?
Well, I would not know that I would be doing this.
He is a Bible translator with Wycliffe Associates and served for many years with them as a linguist and translator in Panama, and as a translation consultant in Guatemala. He currently works with Wycliffe Associates developing translation strategies for peoples unreached by current methods, and teaches biblical Hebrew at the Graduate Institute of Applied Linguistics in Dallas, Texas. Please welcome Dr. Oakes.
Thank you. This is exciting to be here. And thank you very much for the invitation, Dr. Harvard. The subject we've been talking about all day is just fascinating. And I hope I can add something to our discussion. It's been mentioned several times that we need to develop new strategies because we're in a new era. This is the digital age, and we've moved beyond the printing press. And so we've had some ideas of things that we can do. We've looked at these statistics already today several times. These are languages of the world divided by how many speakers of each language. The languages that have greater than 10 million speakers are 85, and then 1 million to 10 million, 308. And you can see as the population drops, the number of languages increases greatly. And so these 85 languages, there are 4.9 billion people represented by only those 85 languages. And then the number of speakers goes down dramatically as the number of languages rises. I don't know if you noticed, that's the number of speakers of each of the languages under 10,000, or of the total number of speakers. So it's, the numbers didn't come through on those. 962 million, about a billion there, and then about a third of that, and then a tenth of that, and then about a tenth of that again. So what has happened in the world of Bible translation as we've confronted this task of reaching these people? We have done a pretty good job up here. That's where we focused a lot of effort, reaching those languages with lots of speakers, and it made sense to do that. How do you get the most impact for the personnel, your limited personnel? You go after the languages with the most speakers. But we haven't been able to do nearly as well with the ones down here. Although, of course, we've been working on languages all across the spectrum. But we've reached those up there much better than these down here. For lots of reasons. A lot more people up there, right? So you want to reach them, and there's a lot more demand. They're easier to reach as well. The languages that are spoken in huge areas are much easier to reach than the ones spoken on a tiny island somewhere. So the strategy that I'm going to tell you about is specifically focused on how do we get here? How do we reach the linguistically least of the world? Okay, I guess this is one I should have been having up there. The problem with Push, as we've been doing it, is it starts up there and it just doesn't reach down to the thousands of languages down there very well. So, a vision. How are we going to do this? This is a vision for how to reach the linguistically least. We want to empower the linguistically least to end their own Bible poverty by creating unrestricted biblical content, creating unrestricted translation training, creating unrestricted translation tools that will be freely available in a language they understand well, that will enable church networks worldwide to own the process of translating the Bible for themselves. So this is our vision, that we want to see those language groups that we can't go to. We just don't have enough people to go to all of those language groups. We would like to empower them to translate the Bible, to do most of the work of translating the Bible for themselves. And this includes managing the quality of the content. Because one of the problems in the Bible translation world is the consultant, lack of consultants, the quality control people. We don't have enough of them. So can we get the church to do a lot of their own Bible translating and quality control? We would like to answer yes. So we're going to follow this particular strategy and see what happens. Wycliffe Associates, Distant Shores Media, some other groups have combined efforts to create a brand, if you will, called Unfolding Word. A brand, a website, a collection of resources that we want to provide under this name tools that will allow the church to have adequate biblical content in every language for every people group within 10 years. So that's what we're aiming at. We think that this is possible. We will see. The problem is that what we're aiming at is the translation of the Bible in all of these language groups. That, of course, is the hardest thing to translate, but it's also the most crucial. The church needs it. But if you are asking the church, the global church, to translate the Bible for themselves, the reason they haven't done it is because they haven't been trained to do it. So we don't want to start with translating the Bible. We want to start with translating Bible stories. And we've heard about other strategies for how that can be done, and we think it's a good one, good idea. So we've created some Bible stories that people can translate, and as they're translating these stories, they're being trained in how to translate the Bible. So that's part of the strategy. And then to support the Bible translation, we want all the other helps to be there too. Open Bible lexicon, open Bible maps, open Bible notes, Bible study, etc. You know, it's open-ended. All the different categories of resources that you would like to have, we want to put them here on this website that can be accessible from anywhere there's an internet connection. Now, one thing that is changing in the digital age, you can't put things on the internet that are copyrighted. And so that has been a big block. You know, we would love to just take everything that's out there, all the helps and everything that we love to use and that people can use, just put them on the internet. There you go, you've got everything you need ready to go. You can't do that. Well, I don't know, but it was astounding to me to know that almost everything is copyrighted. Just about everything is copyrighted. So in order to put it under this Unfolding Word website, we are asking for collaboration. We're asking for whatever resources you have, but you have to agree that they will be licensed by this Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike license. And that just means that it can be freely shared as long as they attribute where it came from and agree to freely share it themselves. You can download it and do whatever you want with it, but you have to agree to tell where you got it, and you have to agree to share it and not hoard it yourself. So that's what that license is. And I think it is gaining traction. I think a lot of different groups are starting to use this. So I think that's a good trend. All right, so our first product that I mentioned, the Unfolding Word Open Bible Stories. These are 50 key Bible stories that go from creation to second coming of Christ. On the Unfolding Word website, you can get text, audio, video. You can download it to any mobile device. It's not yet available in every language, but that is the goal within 10 years in every language. This was just completed, I think, in June. So here it is in paper form. It's got great pictures that were done by Sweet Publishing, licensed under that Creative Commons license, and then Bible text underneath. And you can get them printed. You can read them on the website. Let me go to the next one. There's the 50 stories. There's some of the great drawings. I think they're really good. It starts from creation, sin enters the world, the flood, goes all the way through to Jesus' return. And we're thinking that by the time a translator gets through all 50 stories, he or she is getting pretty good at translating. At least we're hoping that this is a good training ground. I mentioned that they're downloadable for any kind of mobile device. We're developing everything with the smartphone in mind. It's becoming so common all over the world. The place where I worked as a linguist in Panama was very remote. And when we were there in the early to mid, late 90s, the only way to contact someone outside was to arrange for a canoe to go downriver. You get down to the drop-off point. You arrange for someone to pick you up there and take you into town. And it could take a day or two before you could get to a telephone. We went out there in 2008 for the Bible dedication. Everyone had cell phones. I think we were the only ones out there that didn't have it. So, these things are there even at the ends of the earth. So right now they're available in two locations. The Unfolding Word website, which is where we want to host everything. Since this is our only product so far, that's all that's there on the Unfolding Word website. The Door 43 website is also there, as well as other things that are in development. Let's see if I can stop this and go to the website. Yeah, so this is the Unfolding Word website, Open Bible Stories. Available translations. Not very many yet, but more are being worked on. And the thing is, this is the deal. Not finding your language? Translate it. Do it yourself. This is where we're going with it. Click there, and it takes you to a translation environment where you can start typing. So yeah, we want to provide tools. We also want to provide the space for translation so that people can, if they have an internet connection, they can actually translate and then download it and print it. So then over on the Door 43 website, it's also here. The Door 43 website is where we're working on things. It's our workbench where stuff is being done. And actually, if you clicked on the translated, it would take you to the Door 43 website, because that's our working website. So it's also here. There's all the stories. You can click on each one and go to it. Okay, these are the ones that are actually being worked on right now. Several of those I don't know what they are, but that's the beauty of it. People can come and just start translating. We have a list of most of the world's languages, and if they find theirs in the list, they can click on it, and it'll take them to a page where they can start going. And then it will list it under that name.
That is so cool.
Let's see. Yeah, if you want to see, I can just click on one. And it takes you to it with the nice picture. And then, so story one is the creation. And each story has 10 to 15 frames in it. So there'll be a picture, some text, picture, some text, and through it like that. So you can just read them if you want to. And these are available in those other languages that were listed. I'm going to go back. And then show you, if you want to translate, click on Translation Notes. Try Creation again. Okay, translate the story. Click on the image to translate each frame. So we'll try this at the beginning. And now you see the same picture, you see the same text, but now you get some translation helps. You can see some things in the text are in bold. You go down below and there's some basic helps in case that particular word or concept or phrase isn't clear. We've got some translation notes that can help clarify things. What we feel are important terms, like the key biblical terms, we have in green. You can click on those and it takes you to a key terms page, kind of a glossary. I can click on it, but I'm a little bit afraid in a room full of theologians and what you think of our definitions, just one little paragraph defining the Holy Spirit. It's not that easy. But you're welcome to go to this website, and if you see things you don't like, just let us know, and we'll change it. It's easy to do. That's the beauty of the digital age. You don't have to go back to your publisher and say, oh, we need to reprint that. There was an error. We can just change it, and it's done, and just move right on, no cost. That actually happened last week. The person who was translating one of the stories into Brazilian Portuguese caught something that she thought wasn't quite right, and so we looked at it and changed it, and it just took a few minutes and no cost. It's done, and now it's better. So it's not the big deal that it used to be. Okay. Back to this. All right, so as we've said, there's around 7,000, 7,100, something like that, languages in the world. So here's our strategy. Take all of the content on the Unfolding Word website as it develops, as it grows, and take responsibility to get that translated into what we're calling the gateway languages. I don't know if that's a common term yet. Okay. The languages through which all the languages of the world are reachable. The gateway languages. We're estimating maybe there's 50. Don't know. Probably that's too low. But that's a good starting place. Around 50 languages. We will push or take responsibility to translate the content into those languages. And then the global church can pull the content into their own local language, going to the website, finding a language that, oh yeah, I understand that one. So you click on that one and translate from that. So that's the strategy. And like I say, I think maybe 50 to 100, I think it's going to grow. These things have a tendency to balloon. So this is our initial strategy, and actually on this one, I think we only have 40 languages listed. We've already realized, no, there's going to be more than that. But anyway, to cover the Western Hemisphere, you don't need very many. We've identified 4. But then the rest of the world, you're going to need a lot. But we'll go with, once we get 40, 50, we'll see where we're at. And again, the church, we're hoping, will help us with this. You already saw that, active translations. Okay, here's a graphic about how the strategy works. On the Unfolding Word website, there will be text, for example, of the Open Bible Stories. And from there, you can put that onto paper, print it out, put it on a web page, which we've already done, download it as an ebook in whatever format works for whatever your device is. And we're aiming at Android devices, smartphones is what that's our target. That's what we have in mind. There's also going to be the capability, text plus images, especially for the Bible stories, is good. But then images plus audio is another possibility. And then audio plus video. The technology is there on the Unfolding Word website to do, I don't have it set up as an example, but it can do that still kind of video where it takes that picture that you saw from Sweet Publishing and pans across or zooms in or out or focuses on one part and blurs the other part. It can do all that while the audio of the story is playing. So that's kind of video. Pseudo video, I don't know, something like that. But that can go to YouTube or put it on a DVD. You have access to TV broadcasting, sure, go for it. Or you can put it on a little micro SD card, and especially in restricted environments, those can just be passed around, and you don't have to actually access the internet, which can be problematic for some people in some places. All right, so I mentioned Door 43. That's the website where all the work is being done. What work is this? Well, I mentioned Open Bible Stories, and the translation notes that have been written to go with those. And we hope to expand those as we develop biblical text. Translation Academy, this is going to be what we're calling multimedia just-in-time Bible translation training. So the people using the website haven't gone through a formal Bible translation program, most of them we're assuming. And so this will be video-based. You're translating a passage and maybe not getting it, maybe there's some problematic metaphors there or something. You can click on Translation Academy, click on Metaphors, and there will be a lesson about how to handle those. So we're trying to make them the just-in-time kind, so you don't have to remember, oh yeah, back from my training we talked about that. You can go get the training right then. Translation Studio. This is a translation environment that we are designing for tablets and smartphones so that people can translate on those devices. If they don't have a constant internet connection, they can download content, translate it on their device. To go along with that is the translation keyboard. Some of you were probably wondering, well, how do they start typing? It's there script is completely different than Roman or whatever else. We are trying to make keyboards available for the scripts used in the major languages of the world, so that hopefully the person can find a script that they understand and can use and hopefully adapt for their language. All right, so we're aiming at a device, something like that. I think this was taken from a Best Buy ad from South Africa. It's just an entry-level smartphone, but Translation Studio can run on it. It costs $67 equivalent, not expensive. And people around the world have them already. So even if we had to supply these to church groups, it wouldn't be expensive. Bible translation by anyone, anywhere. Okay, this is a picture of Translation Studio. I have it on my tablet. I can wake it up. And I just want to show you, even though you can't see it. It works best if you turn it this way. And it'll have the story on one side, and then it looks like a sheet of paper, a place where you can translate on the other side. And when you touch over there, then the keyboard comes up. And down on the space bar, you can scroll through and get, I don't know, I haven't seen how many are on there, but there are dozens of different languages. And you couldn't see that, I know, I'm sorry. I just had to show that. You can see this one though. And so here, the story is under there. It's being covered up by a menu that slides out with a list of stories. So that can slide back out of the way once you've got the story you want. And you can read it over here, start translating over here. And remember I showed you those translation notes? If you want to see those notes on your smartphone, there's another slide out. You click up, or does this click? You touch it with your finger, and it slides out, and then you can read the notes that there are for that story. The translation helps. Done reading those, you slide it back, and then you can translate. Again, all of this is really new. It doesn't have much of a track record at all. This is our only product so far. But this has been used in some areas of the world. It's been welcomed in places where the church is persecuted and in danger and doesn't have freedom to use the internet. And so they just download once or pass it around on SD cards and just translate offline. And then when someone travels somewhere or is in a secure environment, upload it to the website. Okay, so how do you get this? It's available in the Google Play Store. You just go under the apps, type in the search Translation Studio and Translation Keyboard, no space. If you put in a space, you won't find it. So you have to type it in with no space, and then you'll find it and you can download them for free. If you want to play around with translating some of these stories, you can do that. Okay, what's next? The Bible. The Bible is next under development. And somebody mentioned having 2 Bibles to look at. Dave, yeah. So that's our strategy. We want to have 2 Bibles for people to look at. I mean, that's minimal, right? One that's fairly literal. So for that, we are updating the 1901 ASV. Good candidate? Well, for us, it's about the only candidate because it's about the only Bible in English that's in the public domain. All the rest are copyrighted. We can't use them. So, 1901 ASV, we're updating it because it's very archaic. We're asking for help with that. If you guys want to help us with that, you're welcome. Very welcome to do that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, for our dynamic translation, we're adapting the translation for translators. That was written by Ellis Deibler, longtime Wycliffe Bible Translation consultant. And he has licensed it under the Creative Commons license, given us permission to do whatever we want with it. So we're messing with it. We're changing it. He put in a lot of implied information, thinking about the context of Papua New Guinea and what people who don't have a Bible background would need to know in order to translate it. And so he put that in the text. Because we have the luxury of having the translation notes, we're moving a lot of that to the notes. But we like a lot of his ways of expressing things that are not complex, taking those abstract nouns, breaking them down. He's done a lot of that work. So we don't want to have to reinvent the wheel more often than we have to. So updating the ASV, adapting translation for translators, and we need help with both of those. All right, okay, here is where I was supposed to take and show you that. Let me just see if I can do that. Yeah, let's see here. Go to that website. Here's door 43. Now this is on door 43. It's not on Unfolding Word yet because it's in process. We've only been working on this for about a month. So this is kind of new, kind of raw. That's the translation for translators up there. That's not going to be there because it's becoming the Unfolding Word Dynamic Bible. So that's the one up there. And this is what we want the translator to see. We want the translator to see the dynamic, the literal, to read them both, to see, oh, okay, that's kind of how it's structured in Greek. If your language does that, great, go with it. But if it doesn't, if it's kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, then read up there, and hopefully that makes more sense. And you can say, oh, okay, I understand what it's saying. Hopefully then you can not translate either one of them exactly, but somewhere in between, make it your own, is the ideal. And then again, just like we did with Open Bible Stories, down below we'll have the important terms, we'll have the translation notes. They're going to be more extensive than the stories because there's going to be more packed into the actual Bible text. So this is a page that's, it's not done quite yet, but it's getting there. I said that the door 43 was the working environment. That's true for part of the team. The team that's actually working on the text itself is in a different environment. It's called the Etherpad. Let's see if I can go there. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so here is the way we're actually working on it. It's a collaborative environment. Multiple people can edit at the same time, which can be a little confusing. So when you start out, you sign in, you get a color assigned to you. And so you do your editing, and whatever you edit, it's in your color. So it's not anonymous. We know who did that. If it's really bad, if we're seeing a certain color that's consistently bad, you're fired. Or, depending on how desperate we are, we try to train you. So far, we're in that mode. But if there's something that you need discussion about, or want to discuss, then you can type over here. It goes up there with your name and your color, and then others can come along after you and add to the discussion or help you to sort out your translational choices. So this is where we want you to work, in this environment. And then when it's pretty much done, then it goes over to the Door 43 website. All right. Back. All right, this was in case I couldn't get to the web to take you to the actual place. Here we go. We need your help. Will you help us make Bible translation tools available? We think it's time for the Western Church, to whom much has been given, to give, to make what we have available. Now we have the tools to do it. We can collaborate, we can put stuff like this together, we can put it on a website, we can make it known and say, come and get it. If you have 5 to 10 hours a week to give, we can use you. We need you to be able to produce, to edit. You can do a chapter a week, we can use you. If it's less than that, then things get kind of messed up. And, so if you get assigned a chapter, don't ask for one during finals week or, when you know you can't do it. But when you know you're going to have some time during the week, say, hey, give me a chapter, and we'll do that. This is the person who will sign you up. She'll want to know who you are, what your background is, what your experience is, what courses you've had, things like that, and then she'll get you signed up and we'll get you on the team. So really, you can do this. Okay, I'll end with this graphic, which kind of pulls it all together, hopefully. Here's the global church down here in this corner. And we assume that 10 to 25% of the church will have really good internet and can just work online. We're assuming that a large part of the church won't and will have to work offline. So we're making both possible. There's Door 43, our workbench website, where we're creating biblical content to put up there. The Translation Academy, the translation notes will all be there. The part of the church that has good internet can just use a browser and go there, work there, play there, do whatever they want there, get whatever they want there. This other part of the church, though, we're developing translation studios so that they can translate offline and contribute the translated content and then upload it when they have opportunity. All right, so the content on the workbench, I haven't really talked about the quality control very much. We're designing it so that there are 3 levels. The first level is just a draft. The only people who've really looked it over are the people who worked on it. The second level is going to be, we're hoping that will be a church body. Where there is a church that can work, where there isn't, it's a little more problematic. So we need to work that out. And then the third level, something higher than that, a recognized Bible translation agency or denominational authority, something like that for level 3. So then once the content is checked to that level, it can go through all the formatting utilities, it can be turned into text, audio, video, whatever, and published, which means put onto the Unfolding Word website for the world to see. So the church, person, whoever, wherever they are, can download that to their device, share it to other devices, side-loaded, I guess, as they say, an infinite number of times. There's no cost to any of this kind of publishing, and it goes to the global church. Any questions? Or are you ready to get to work?
What's the source text for the 50 stories that you mentioned earlier?
We wrote those ourselves, just so we wouldn't run into any problems of copyright or step on anybody's toes. You're welcome to look at them and make suggestions.
I've looked at your site a little bit.
Okay.
One suggestion, one of the things we're working on, Julian Sundar Singh wrote a book about a dozen years ago called Audio-Based Translation. It's how to translate scripture products whose primary consumption will be via the ear.
Okay.
And it's actually his PhD dissertation at Fuller. And because they are stories, and because many of them are envisioned to be consumed via the ear by hearing them, it might be helpful to look at them from that standpoint. As a source text, do they have those features that make them more of a translation to the ear rather than a translation to the eye?
Yes, thank you. That's a good point.
It is a different,
Yeah.
it's a different focus.
It is. Yeah. I don't think that we did design them with that in mind. We were shooting for simplicity and clarity, which doesn't always sound the best when you're saying it out loud.
It can be kind of
Choppy.
right? And that, when he did in his dissertation, he actually tested the various translations with non-readers, delivered through audio form,
Yeah.
and the listeners certainly could discern the difference quickly, and it was overwhelming in the preference for materials translated consciously for the listening audience.
And I think that's a very good point. And so we might want to have a different set for audio than for text.
I do have a question, but I do want to just say I love the creativity in this. I think it's good to see the forward thinking and the use of technology. It's encouraging. But then my question is, with the Bible, are you guys only working collaboratively on your English translations, or are you working on some of the other major languages, Chinese, Spanish, French, German, whatever? Because I mean, you showed the English and you kind of offered that to us as English speakers, but
we're starting with just English.
Just English.
Yeah. And then at some point, when that's finished, we'll say, okay, translate this into other languages.
Work off of the English.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the strategy. Work off of the English.
Okay.
Has weaknesses. But it's a strategy.
Yeah. I'm a master's level student. I don't do opinions.
What's the significance of 43?
Oh, that's from Colossians 4:3. Pray that God would open to us a door for the gospel. It's a door for the gospel. So. Colossians 4:3. I don't know. Some creative person came up with that. Oh, I should have mentioned it.
Will there be any special training for those who like to help in working with?
Yes, we have some training pages that we would like you to read that talk about our guidelines, translational choices that we've decided already we're going to say this and not this. For example, we decided not to use behold, and we're encouraging you to find some other way to express that. Look, listen, or surprise, or something. So yeah, there are a few pages to read before you start. And then after you do a chapter or part of a chapter, somebody will look at it and give you feedback.
I'm going to go off of this question. Is there going to be like something that says, obviously we can choose these stories, we're also choosing words to emphasize, like in the creation story and things like that. Is there going to be like a disclaimer that says denominationally this is where we're coming from for future people who are downloading it? Because I was looking at that, like at the creation, and I was thinking there are some people who would emphasize different words and things in that. So I don't know if there was a disclaimer that that was going.
Are you referring to the words that were in bold?
Emphasize, because there may be some denominations that would say, well, we don't have to say that God created, maybe use different process information like evolution or something like that with stories.
Well, the reason they were in bold was to indicate that there was a note for them down below. That's what that was supposed to indicate rather than emphasis. As far as doctrine, there is a doctrinal statement on the website that we do ask all collaborators to agree with. Basic evangelical doctrine. And if you don't agree with that, then we'd rather not that you did not collaborate with us. So there is that.